Revealed, blind billionaire's heartwarming journey from betrayal to amazing true love with his family's past. Jack Thompson had it all: wealth, power, and influence. But standing in his lavish office, surrounded by the trappings of his success, Jack felt an emptiness he couldn't shake. His closest advisor had been stealing from him, siphoning funds with cunning deceit. As the news shattered his world, the walls of his impeccably designed empire began to close in on him, suffocating him in betrayal. He was blind, but he saw clearly that everything had come crashing down around him. After discovering the betrayal, Jack wanted nothing more than to escape the chaos. Stripped of trust and self-worth, he took a long drive to the quaint neighborhood where he had grown up. As he climbed the familiar porch steps of his childhood home, a flood of memories washed over him: warm summer nights, laughter, the smell of his mother's cooking. He hesitated, unsure if he belonged there anymore, but he needed comfort more than ever. To his surprise, he found his estranged father sitting on the worn-out porch swing. A stoic war veteran, his father's strong presence filled Jack with conflicting emotions. Their reunion was awkward at first, but as Jack's walls began to crumble, tears filled his eyes and his father's steady voice brought forth those long-forgotten notions of resilience and love. "Son, it's not about how much you have, but who you have in your corner." This evening together sparked a fire within Jack, revealing the importance of connections that transcended monetary value. With each story his father shared tales of sacrifice, hardship, and unwavering faith. Jack felt a slow change breaching his heart. What was once a blind focus on success morphed into a longing for something deeper, authentic companionship. It was during his morning visits to the local diner that he met Emma, a spirited waitress with a laugh that rang like a bell. She juggled multiple jobs to care for her sick mother, and at first, Jack only saw her through the lens of his privileged background. But as they spent time together, sharing tables filled with hearty meals and stories, he began to see the steel beneath her smile. The dignity in her struggle ignited a sense of purpose within him that he hadn't felt in years. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Jack began to reclaim a sense of self amidst the laughter and shared dreams with Emma, betrayal struck once more. A close friend, whom he had opened his heart to, turned out to be someone with their own agenda. The new twist left him heartbroken, questioning the depths of love and loyalty. The very foundation of his newfound connections felt shaky, and he stood at a crossroads, caught between the longing for love and the shadows of the past. Now, as whispers of his turbulent journey echoed throughout the town, Jack faced a daunting decision. Would he cling to the wealth that defined him, or would he choose the pure, unfiltered love that had begun to anchor him through his darkest moments? He felt the weight of the world pressing down on him, the vibrant pulse of life all around him, filled with all its complexities. What would Jack choose? The answer lay ahead, waiting in the uncertain embrace of the future. As dawn broke over the sleepy town, Jack awoke with a heavy heart. The sun filtered through the old curtains, casting gentle rays that felt foreign in his chilly room. He lay for a moment, allowing the glow to wash over him, unsure of how to confront the choices waiting outside his door. He heard the distant sounds of laughter from children playing on the street and wondered if he'd ever regain that simple joy. He made his way to the diner, each step feeling like he was trudging through mud. As he entered, the familiar aroma of brewed coffee and pancakes filled the air, but today it felt more suffocating than comforting. Emma was behind the counter, her bright smile lighting up the room. It struck him again how her laughter seemed to chase away shadows, making trouble feel distant. Yet, even her joyous spirit couldn't remove the weight resting on his shoulders. "Good morning, Jack," she called cheerfully, her twinkling eyes narrowing slightly as she studied him. "Everything okay?" He managed a half-hearted smile, the kind that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Just processing some things. Coffee? She asked, trying to draw him in with her warmth. Please, he replied, sinking into the nearest booth. He needed to gather his thoughts, to figure out how to sift through the ruins of his life and determine the next step. Emma poured steaming coffee before sliding into the booth across from him. The usual buzz of the diner faded into the background, creating a cocoon of intimacy. I can see something's bothering you. What's on your mind? Jack hesitated, feeling vulnerable. He opened his mouth, closed it again, then finally let go. I feel like everything I've worked for, it's crumbling. The people I counted on have let me down. I don't know who to trust anymore, and yet I don't want to be alone. She listened intently, nodding as he spoke, her expression softening. Maybe it's time to redefine what success means to you, she suggested, her tone gentle but firm. It doesn't always have to be about money or status. Real success is built on trust, honesty, and the people who lift you up. Jack couldn't help but admire her wisdom. Here was Emma, someone who worked tirelessly to provide for others but still managed to radiate hope and kindness. He found himself leaning closer, almost desperate to absorb her words into his heart. But how do I rebuild that? I've made mistakes, and it feels like the past is following me everywhere, he confessed, his voice laced with despair. Everyone has a past, Jack. What matters is how you choose to move forward. You can't change what's happened, but you can choose to be better, she replied, her gaze steady. Find those who truly care about you. Invest in them, not in what's material. Her words settled into his heart. Slowly, a flicker of something bright began to spark from within, a hope that perhaps there was a chance to redefine everything. Emma's laughter had offered him not just a moment of relief but a roadmap out of his anguish. Filled with a new resolve, Jack made a decision. He would face his past and confront the betrayal. He would also pursue his feelings for Emma, letting her light guide him out of the darkness. As he finished his coffee, he knew changes lay ahead, but the path forward was clearer than ever. Just then, the door swung open, and a familiar figure stepped inside. The world seemed to freeze around Jack. Perhaps the hardest moment was about to unfold. His friend, the one who had betrayed him, stood there, an unreadable expression on his face. Jack's heart raced. Could he face the truth? Would he be able to move beyond the suffocating shadows? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he locked eyes with Tom. Time stretched, each second heavy with uncertainty, as the chatter around him faded into an eerie silence. Jack's mind raced, scrambling to find the right words to say, any words. He felt a rush of emotions: anger, betrayal, confusion. But beneath that, a flicker of hurt mixed with an unexpected longing for closure. Tom looked older than Jack remembered, haggard and worn. He shifted his weight uneasily, as if the weight of their history bore down heavily on him. Jack's stomach twisted. Was Tom here to apologize or just to stoke the flames of his anguish? Hey, Jack, Tom finally said, his voice quiet and uncertain. Why are you here? Jack shot back, feeling the heat rise in his cheeks. His chest tightened, and he couldn't shake the urge to lash out, to let all the hurt spill over. I came to talk, Tom replied, glancing around the diner as if looking for somewhere to hide. Can we sit? Jack exchanged glances with Emma, whose concerned expression mirrored his own turmoil. Her presence was a comfort, but he knew he had to confront this. Swallowing hard, he gestured for Tom to join him, and he reluctantly sat down across from Jack. As Tom settled onto the booth, he rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture Jack always knew meant he was nervous. I didn't think you'd show up either, Tom began, the weight of their shared history hanging between them. I miss our friendship. Jack tightened his grip around the coffee cup, the warmth somewhat grounding him. You know what you did, Tom. You betrayed not just me, but everything we built together. Tom winced. I know, and I regret it every day. I messed up. I thought I was doing the right thing for both of us at the time. It spiraled out of control. You thought? Jack said, his voice rising slightly. You put your ambition over our trust. Those weren't just numbers to me, they were lives, our lives. Tension thickened the air. Jack felt the urge to flee this conversation, to escape everything that Tom represented: the instability, the hurt. But he couldn't back down now. I know I can't change the past, Tom pressed on, his eyes earnest. What I did was wrong, and I'm sorry. I want to make it right. Jack's heart thudded painfully against his ribs. Was making it right even possible? Would it ever be enough? Can you? Can you really make it right? Tom took a deep breath. I want to help you, Jack. We can rebuild everything. Together. I still believe in what we had. A quiet tension brewed as Jack weighed Tom's words. Part of him yearned to believe that his friend could redeem himself, while another part felt the urge to shut this door firmly in his face. Emma reached out gently, placing a hand on Jack's arm. He hadn't even noticed how tightly he had been gripping the table until she nudged it just enough to ground him. You don't have to decide right now, she whispered, her voice a soothing balm amidst the storm. Think about what you need, what's right for you. Jack looked from Emma to Tom. Hearts were fragile things, easily shattered but capable of incredible repair. Did he have the strength to forgive? The thought of moving forward was both exhilarating and terrifying. He met Tom's gaze, and in that moment, the past intertwined with possible futures, leaving Jack suspended at a crossroads. Was he ready to let go, or would he allow that betrayal to imprison him forever? As uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud, the world beyond the diner felt distant and insignificant. Then, just as he opened his mouth to speak, a loud crash erupted outside, shattering the fragile moment. Jack's heart raced anew. What distraction awaited him now? Was he about to face yet another challenge, or worse, could it be a sign that his reckoning was only just beginning? Jack's heart raced as he turned toward the window, the sound of metal clanging against metal echoing like a threat. The diner trembled as curious onlookers rushed to see what was happening outside. He could barely focus on Tom's next words, which were muffled by the chaos. What was that? Emma's voice quivered, concern etching her features. I don't know, Jack muttered, his thoughts scattered. He pushed the booth open and stood, instinctively heading for the entrance. Tom followed close behind, calling out, Jack. Wait. As Jack stepped outside, the bright afternoon sunlight momentarily blinded him. A delivery truck had toppled over on the street, the driver frantically waving his arms as a crowd gathered around him. Without thinking, Jack rushed over to help. Past his anger and hurt, his instincts kicked in. Are you okay? Jack shouted to the driver, who was attempting to crawl out of the cab. Yeah, just shaken up. Thank God for the low speed. The driver called back, visibly shaken but alive. Jack turned, scanning the crowd. People were pulling out their phones, recording the scene instead of helping. His focus sharpened. Someone call 911. The driver gestured toward the back of the truck. My packages, they're all tossed around. I need to get them secured before they get stolen. Without hesitating, Jack jogged around the truck, heart pounding in his ears. He approached the rear doors, but they were stuck, wedged shut. A few bystanders rushed over, intrigued by the action, watching rather than lending a hand. Here, help me. Jack shouted to a couple of men who stood nearby, their phones still raised, capturing the moment like it was a reality show. The men exchanged glances, finally sauntering closer. Together, they heaved against the doors, and with a loud pop, they sprang open, revealing a jumbled mess of boxes. A sense of urgency surged through Jack. He started tossing packages out, directing the men to stack them on the sidewalk. As he worked, Jack felt a flicker of something more than the adrenaline coursing through him. Memories of past crises flooded back, older days when he had been the one orchestrating efforts, not just an observer. A sense of camaraderie began to blossom even amidst the chaos. Emma emerged from the diner, her face etched with worry, but relief flooded through her as she joined the others. "Jack! What can I do?" "Start moving those boxes," he directed, pointing to the stacks piling up. With the driver cheering them on, the hasty operation began to come together. People started to join, each adding their strength to the effort. For Jack, working together brought a fleeting sense of belonging back. As he tossed another box aside, something inside him cracked open. Could he really start to put his life back together? Moments passed, and soon enough, sirens echoed in the distance. They were making progress, and for the first time all day, Jack allowed a reluctant smile to creep across his face. Just then, he caught Tom's gaze in the corner of his eye. Time halted again as he remembered their unresolved issues. The tangled emotions of betrayal simmered beneath their shared glance. Why was Tom still standing on the sidelines? Suddenly an elderly woman's voice broke through. "You're all heroes. Look at how you're pulling together." Jack felt warmth rise in his chest, but there was Tom, an anchor in the storm, a reminder of his past, believing in far different ideas of loyalty and friendship. In that moment, something shifted again in Jack. He had to make a choice between moving forward with whatever Tom offered, or closing the chapter that had done him so much harm. As the sirens grew closer, uncertainty loomed large. What awaited him on the other side of this chaos? Would he confront Tom now, or would he risk reopening wounds that still ached? Jack's heart raced. What would he do next? Jack's heart was a drum in his chest, pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. He stood there, frozen, caught between the present chaos and the unresolved tension with Tom. The sirens got louder, slicing through the summer air, but all he could hear was the echo of their past. "Jack!" Emma's voice pulled him back. She grabbed his arm, her concern palpable. "What are you waiting for?" I don't know," he stammered, glancing back at Tom. The weight of his unresolved feelings clung to him like a heavy coat. I thought we were past this." "Are you really going to let him stand there?" Emma pressed, her eyes pleading. "You've made so much progress today. Don't throw it away out of pride." Jack swallowed hard, grappling with her words. Pride, betrayal, friendship, these were knots of emotion he thought he had untangled long ago. Yet here he was, trapped in a stagnant moment where uncertainty breathed heavily between him and Tom. Taking a deep breath, Jack stepped away from the action, his pulse quickening as he neared Tom. The crowd seemed to fade around them, and the noise dulled to a distant roar. All that remained was the ghost of their friendship and the possibility of something more. "Tom," Jack called, his voice steadying. "We need to talk." Tom blinked, surprise mingling with tension. He didn't move initially, as if weighing his response against 100 unsaid words. "Now? Here?" "Yeah, now," Jack insisted, frustration edging in. "We can't keep pretending this doesn't matter." Jack's declaration hung in the air. Everybody was doing their part, the driver, Emma, even the onlookers who finally dropped their phones to help. But Jack's heart was anchored to one person. "I was trying to keep things from getting worse." Tom started, his voice tinged with regret. "By doing nothing? By standing in the shadows?" Jack shot back, the pain of their friendship's fracture surfacing. "You think that's better?" The moment felt like it leaned into danger, but with it came a brave recognition. They could either wallow in silence or rage against their past. Tom's eyes shimmered, a myriad of unspoken thoughts swirling behind them. "Do you even want to fix this?" Tom asked, vulnerable yet defiant. "Or do you just want to stand here and tear each other apart?" Jack felt something shift in him, a flicker of hope igniting. "I want to fix it, but I can't do it alone. You hurt me, Tom. But maybe we can find a way forward." Tom's expression softened, the frustration of their past moments blending into something almost akin to relief. He let out a deep breath, processing Jack's words. Before Tom could finish, another crash echoed through the din, louder than the last. Jack's heart dropped as he realized it wasn't related to the truck. What was that? He shouted, turning back to the scene. The crowd erupted into chaos again. Jack felt his heart at war. Should he navigate the shifting tides with Tom or deal with the immediate dangers drawing near? Jack! Emma called again, panic in her voice. We need you. The urgency in her tone snapped him back to reality. Jack's choice loomed before him, a fragile bridge stretching toward resolution. Stay here and I'll be right back, Jack said to Tom, rushing toward Emma's call, but as he worked, shadows loomed in the back of his mind. What if this was just a storm before another betrayal? Would Tom still be there after the dust settled? The unknown pressed closer, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that their unresolved conflict echoed louder than the chaos erupting around them. What awaited him as he faced the crisis looming ahead might just change everything about his past and future. Would he gather the pieces of his shattered friendship? What if Tom came along for the ride? Jack's heart raced anew, a new uncertainty creeping in. Was this really the right path, or was fate about to take a turn he couldn't possibly predict? Jack sprinted toward Emma, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The sirens blared like a warning bell. The air was thick with tension, each step heavy with responsibility. He could feel her eyes guiding him, drawing him into action, yet Tom's silhouette loomed large in his mind. We need to help the driver. Emma's voice was urgent, but there was an undercurrent of fear. People swarmed around the overturned truck, chaos replacing the earlier shock. Jack could see the driver struggling to escape, trapped inside, his cries barely audible beneath the roaring impending storm. Come on. We can't just stand here. Emma yelled, her focus unwavering. Jack felt a surge of determination swell within him. He pushed through the crowd, heart racing, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they reached the crash site, the scent of gasoline mixed with the smell of panic. Jack squatted down, peering into the cab where the driver sat, wide-eyed and terrified. Hey! Hang on. We're going to get you out. Jack shouted, trying to send a sense of calm into the chaos. The driver's eyes darted back and forth, desperation etched on his face. I can't move. Emma, we need to lift the truck. We can't let him get hurt. Jack's voice was steadier now, powered by adrenaline. He could feel her presence beside him, bolstering his courage. They joined a couple of other strong arms surrounding the vehicle, grunting as they strained against its weight. The world blurred into muffled sounds, the frightened cries of onlookers, the sharp screams for help. Everything outside that moment faded as they heaved with all their might. On three! Emma shouted. Jack clenched his jaw, nodding. They'd done this before. There was strength in numbers, unity in the moment. 1, 2, 3. With a collective effort, the truck shifted slightly. Jack's heart leaped. Hope ignited. Again. We can do this. He urged, pushing harder, feeling the muscles in his arms scream in protest. Nothing mattered more than this, saving a life. The driver was still yelling, hope blending with terror. Please. Hurry. With each hoist, Jack could feel both fear and power coursing through him. Finally, with a final heave, they managed to lift the truck enough for the driver to squirm out. He slipped through the gap, gasping for air, and fell to the ground as if reborn. Jack! Emma called, her voice tinged with relief and triumph. But before he could fully bask in that moment, he turned, catching a glimpse of Tom standing just outside the throng of people. Tom looked at Jack, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. The tension hung palpable between them, both the powerful emotions of just moments before and the chaos of the scene reinforcing the rift that had kept them apart. Tom took a step closer as if he wanted to bridge that chasm, but just as quickly, a flicker of fear held him back, and in that moment, Jack felt a pull. Everything that mattered was crystallizing in his mind. The sirens, the driver's escape, it all led back to this unresolved bond. Jack. Emma's voice broke through again, now filled with a new urgency. There's more people trapped. We need to organize a rescue. His heart sank as he mulled over the choice before him. Should he push aside his worries about Tom, focusing on the here and now? Or did he risk diving back into the emotional storm swirling around his lost friendship? As he turned back to the scene, he felt the weight of his own decisions pressing down. The chaos around him still raged, but he could see the flicker of hope within it. Could they find a way to mend what was broken while facing the turmoil surrounding them? Jack gathered strength, his gaze lingering on Tom. The real challenge lay ahead, not just saving lives but rebuilding bridges that had long been burned. All right, he breathed to himself, determination flooding his chest. One step at a time. But as he went to take that step, he felt a tension rising in the distance, a new danger, something that shifted in the air like a promise of more trials ahead. What awaited him could either cement their fragile bond or tear them apart completely. Would the past finally be laid to rest, or was it just a harbinger of deeper beginnings? Jack took a deep breath, grounding himself as he turned away from Tom. There was work to be done, lives still hanging in the balance. The urgent cries of others echoed around him, pulling him back into the moment. He focused intently on his surroundings. As he and Emma began organizing the crowd, he noticed a woman hovering nearby, her expression filled with dread. "Her kid is still inside the car," shouted a man, voice trembling. Jack's heart sank as he ran towards the sound, Emma close on his heels. Where's the car?" he demanded, urgency sharp in his tone. "Just past the truck." The man pointed through the crowd, and in an instant, Jack was dashing toward the small family sedan crumpled against a tree, the front barely clinging to any form. He reached the vehicle, its windows shattered, glass glistening like deadly confetti on the ground. "Hey! Can you hear me?" he shouted, hands pressed against the cold metal, hope dangling by a thread. Inside, a small voice responded, shaking. "I'm scared." "Okay, buddy. Just keep talking to me." Jack's heart raced. "Can you move? Can you find the door?" Silence stretched before the child responded. It stuck. Emma, who had been fanning out around the crowd, caught his gaze and nodded. "We'll pull it open. We need more hands." But even as she spoke, the chaos swelled, the crowd becoming more frantic as the reality of the situation hit home. Jack took a moment to compose himself, glancing back toward Tom, who was still hovering at the edge of the scene. Jack felt that familiar tension tightening his chest. Would it be foolish to involve him? But pushing those thoughts aside, he shouted for Tom to join them. "Tom! I need your help. Now!" Tom hesitated but broke into a run, determination replacing fear. Jack felt a flicker of something inside, a mix of hope and apprehension as Tom arrived. Together, they positioned themselves by the car, shoulders aligning with each other as they prepared to pry the door open. "On three," Jack said. Just like before, Tom whispered, the hint of a shared memory creeping into his voice. "All right. 1, 2, 3. With a roar of effort, they heaved against the door, muscles straining. Adrenaline rushed through Jack. The door creaked, yielding just enough to inch open. "Come on. Work with us," Emma shouted, her voice fierce but tinged with fear. Slowly, they managed to break the door free, revealing a young boy strapped into his car seat, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Help!" he cried. "Aaron!" The woman from earlier rushed over, frantic. "Mom!" The boy's voice shattered the tension like glass. Heart racing, Jack ducked inside the car, quickly unbuckling the child while Tom and Emma steadied the door. With one last push, he pulled Aaron to safety, holding him tightly as the boy sobbed against his shoulder. "There you go, buddy. You're safe now," Jack murmured, trying to shield the child from the chaos around them. Emma and Tom stood by, eyes wide with relief as the mother enveloped them both in her terrified embrace. But even in that moment of triumph, Jack's mind flickered back to Tom. The weight of their friendship and the truth between them hung heavily in the air. As the sirens continued their mournful wail and onlookers shouted for help, Jack's heart ached with a longing for what could be. The fragile bond felt like a flickering candle in a storm, wavering yet alive. "Mom, I'm scared." Aaron clung tighter, his little face pressed against Jack's shoulder once more. "I know, buddy. But we're here. We're not going anywhere." Jack glanced at Emma, who nodded with solidarity. Just then, he heard a loud crack, a sound that made his blood run cold. He turned to see debris shifting from the truck, the scene suddenly morphing into a new threat. "Get back!" he shouted, realizing the danger was far from over. But would this crisis pull Jack and Tom closer together, or would it shatter the little hope remaining between them for good? The air crackled with tension as the sound of shifting debris echoed through the chaos. Jack's heart raced as he instinctively shielded Aaron, positioning himself like a barrier against the uncertainty around them. Emma and Tom looked back, their eyes widening in horror. "Get back!" he shouted again, louder this time, knowing their safety depended on quick decision-making. His voice cut through the noise of the crowd, the frantic murmurs creating a tapestry of fear and desperation. With urgency, Jack waved his arm, beckoning everyone back. The onlookers hesitated, rooted in shock, their gaze fixed on the ominous shifting metal. Some didn't immediately understand the gravity of the situation. "Move! Now!" Emma echoed, her tone leaving no room for doubt. Slowly, the crowd began to retreat, faces painted with confusion and anguish. Jack stayed low, still holding Aaron close. He could feel the warmth of the child against his chest, the small breaths mingling with his own rapid heartbeat. Then, with a deafening clang, a large piece of debris shifted, tumbling to the ground just inches from where they stood. Jack's breath caught in his throat as he instinctively tightened his grip on the boy. The roaring noise snapped everyone to clarity, and the reality of the moment settled heavily upon them. Jack glanced at Tom, whose face displayed a mix of fear and resolve. "We can't just leave them here," Tom uttered, his voice uncertain but filled with determination. The memories of their shared past of laughter, trust, and their undefined bond flooded back, urging Jack to rely on him, to see Tom as more than just a friend at this moment. "Right," Jack agreed, adrenaline propelling him to action. "Let us help everyone get to safety." He looked around, scanning the group's faces, desperation meeting his own. "Emma, help the mother and her son. We'll work on getting everyone clear." Tom nodded, a flicker of something deeper passing between them. In the crisis, it felt like they were tethered by a history that was just waiting to resurface. Enduring this chaos together might just come with its own kind of revelation. With a renewed sense of purpose, Jack sprinted forward, shoving debris out of the way. A man nearby, panic-stricken, stumbled forward. "We need to call for more help," he shouted, looking for someone to guide him through the disarray. Jack gestured for the panic-stricken man to follow, leading a small group away from the wreckage. They moved quickly, shoving debris aside and offering support to others who were stranded. The air smelled faintly of smoke and fear, but amidst it all, Jack felt a flicker of connection, a reminder that in crisis, the human spirit sparked resilience. Aaron's voice broke through, his small hand tightly clutching Jack's shirt. "Will we be okay?" Jack paused momentarily to meet the boy's gaze. "Yes, we will. I promise. You're safe with us." His words were firm, even if uncertainty gnawed at his heart. He wanted so desperately to embody that safety, to make Aaron believe in the hope just barely igniting within them. As they reached a small clearing, Jack turned to check on Tom and Emma. His heart raced not just with the chaos around him but with the intense realization that this moment could redefine everything. The unspoken words he had always wanted to share with Tom hung in the air, fragile yet potent. "Did everyone get out?" Jack shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "I think so. Emma replied, breathless but alive with urgency. But we might have to help others. It's not over yet. Just as Jack was about to respond, another loud cracking noise reverberated through the air, this time closer than before. He turned, dread pooling in his stomach. Get back. Everyone fall back. He yelled, knowing instinctively that the real danger was only beginning. Could the tension among them finally act as a conduit for the truth Jack yearned to express? And would they all find a way through this disaster together? The ground trembled beneath their feet as another rumble echoed, and Jack's instinct screamed at him to act fast. Move, people. Get back. His voice rose above the growing cacophony, each word infused with urgency. The clearing, once a momentary refuge, suddenly felt like a trap, the air thick with dust and the heavy stench of smoke creeping in. Panic ignited in the faces around him as more debris shifted ominously above their heads. Jack led Aaron, who clung tightly to his shirt, retreating deeper into the thrumming crowd. Tom and Emma were close behind, their expressions mirroring the growing fear that tugged at Jack's heartstrings. Help me. Someone help. A woman's voice pierced through the chaos, desperate and filled with raw emotion. Jack's heart twisted painfully. He recognized the voice. It was the same woman he had seen earlier, trapped under a fallen beam. Without thinking, he turned to Tom. Go with them. Get Aaron to safety. Jack shouted, determination coursing through his veins despite the dread weighing him down. He sensed an unspoken bond forming, one that challenged everything they shared before today. Tom hesitated, glancing between Jack and the crowd, but the look in Jack's eyes left no room for argument. Be careful. Tom shouted as he pushed Aaron gently away, the boy's face set in terrified confusion as he clutched Emma's hand. It felt surreal to watch them head off. A part of him wanted to follow, to shield them, but duty pulled him back. Jack turned and plunged towards the sound of the woman's cries. The moment he reached her, he saw a tangle of twisted metal. She was pinned, eyes wide and glassy with fear, her son standing helplessly beside her, tears staining his cheeks. Please, I can't breathe. She gasped, struggling against the weight holding her down. He knelt beside her, assessing the situation. A piece of metal cut across the middle of her body. It looked heavy, but panic ignited a surge of adrenaline inside him. Okay, listen, Jack said, his voice steadying. I'm going to lift this. You have to push yourself away. The woman nodded, her breaths rapid but controlled as Jack gripped the rusted metal. With a deep breath, he heaved, muscles straining as the weight resisted his efforts. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. He grunted, using every ounce of strength he had. With a loud screech, the metal lifted just enough for her to wriggle out. The boy rushed to hold on to his mother, and the moment their eyes met, Jack could see a flicker of hope shimmering in her despair. Thank you. Thank you so much. The woman cried, her words mingling with sobs of relief. Jack managed a breathless smile, aching in every part of his body but feeling the purest form of joy flood his heart. Just then, the ground shifted violently again, reminding him that time was short. Go. Get to safety. He urged, guiding them out as dust and debris rained around them. The crowd, once apathetic, moved like a tidal wave, drawing a sense of urgency that swept through them all. Jack turned back, scanning the chaos, searching for Tom and Aaron. Moments felt like lifetimes, a knot of anxiety tightening his gut. Where were they? Were they okay? Suddenly, a figure emerged from the cloud of dust. Tom. Jack's relief rushed through him like wildfire, but it was extinguished as a loud crack split the air. Jack! Look out! Tom yelled, just as another piece of debris came crashing down, missing Jack by mere inches. Heart racing, Jack looked at Tom and back at the crowd of terrified faces. They needed to stay united. But soon, the ground trembled again, the noise increasingly thunderous. Together. We need to stick together. Jack bellowed, rallying those within earshot. But would they truly find a way through this disaster and face the horrors still lurking ahead? As he and Tom locked eyes, Jack realized their unspoken bond had solidified in this chaos, the promise of something deeper lingering between them. But first, they had to survive this catastrophe to explore the truth beneath their fraught history. The earth continued to shake, and with it. The question lingered in the back of Jack's mind: what was waiting for them when the dust finally settled? The earth shook violently underfoot as Jack felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. Desperation crackled in the air, and all around him, the sounds of panic filled the atmosphere. But amidst the chaos, a flicker of determination ignited within him. "Stay together. We've got this," he shouted, rallying those around him, their faces a blend of fear and resolve. He turned to Tom, who was shaking off the dust from his clothes and trying to keep Aaron steady. In that instant, Jack saw something shift in Tom's gaze, a shared understanding, a connection forged between them in the heat of the moment. It was unspoken yet powerful, a reminder of the bond they once had, and the one they might just be able to rebuild. "Jack! Over here!" Emma called from a few feet away, urgency lacing her voice. She was guiding a group of survivors, her determined spirit a balm for those around her. Jack felt the warmth of hope wrap around him as he sprinted forward to join her. As they grouped together, they formed a human chain, pulling people back from the brink of panic. Jack caught sight of the overturned delivery truck, its presence like a spider's web weaving through the crowd. People were trapped beneath the weight of debris while others, paralyzed by fear, didn't know where to go. Suddenly, the ground trembled again, and the panicking crowd shifted like a wave of uncertainty. "We've got to act," Jack shouted, seeing the fear in Emma's eyes. "Tom, help me with the others. We can't let anyone get left behind." Tom nodded, a newfound strength radiating from him. "Okay. Let us do this." Together, they surged into the throng of terrified faces and trembling legs. With each passing moment, they pulled survivors away from the wreckage, each person they freed breathing life into their collective hope. Conversations blended, forming a tapestry of resolve filled with encouragement and the sounds of unity. Jack felt a sense of rhythm to their actions, like a dance choreographed by necessity. As Jack helped others escape the wreckage, he finally turned to the familiar woman from earlier, her face streaked with dirt and tears. "Your son is safe," he assured her, relief flooding his system. "Now, let us get you out." He reached for her hand and guided her toward safety, uniting with Tom and Emma again as they worked to pull others toward safety. In that moment, Jack felt an incredible warmth spread within him. Amidst the chaos, he realized what really mattered: the bonds they forged, the lives they saved, and the transformation they underwent together. With a last group of survivors pulling through, the air jolted with a sense of accomplishment. Voices wove in with laughter and cries of relief, the feeling of unity palpable. Everyone's hearts were racing, but this time it was fueled by hope, not fear. Slowly, they retreated away from the wreckage, the remnants of chaos lingering behind them. And yet, Jack couldn't shake the thought of Tom. They needed to address everything that had been left unsaid. "Tom," Jack said, the brief hush settling around them. He could see the uncertainty swirling in Tom's eyes, but also a flicker of hope. "We need to talk, like really talk." "After all this, yeah," Tom replied, the weight of their shared history pressing down on his shoulders. "I think we do. I want to make things right, Jack." Jack nodded, his heart pounding. "Let us not just survive this day but rebuild what matters most: our friendship." As the chaos receded behind them, they stood side by side, the palpable bond between them thawing the weight of betrayal. Jack felt lighter, as if freeing himself from the shackles had opened his heart wide. It was their past that had shaped them, but their shared present that could redefine their future. Emma stood beside them, the light in her eyes reflecting the joy of possibility. "You guys can do this," she assured them, excitement tinged with that cherished hope. "You're stronger together." In that moment of shared resolve, Jack knew this was his chance. He would not only embrace love and connection but return to the richness of a life filled with meaningful relationships. As they stepped away from the wreckage towards the rising sun, possibilities expanded before him like an open road. Jack, Tom, and Emma moved forward into a new chapter, laying the foundations for forgiveness, healing, and the power of love. Now, this is more than just a story. It's a journey, your journey too. You need to subscribe now to keep up with our exclusive stories that inspire transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now. Let me know in the comments how this ending made you feel, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a little inspiration in their lives.